ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a look at lesson 10 for the tangent ratio. So we're going to introduce a couple of vocabulary words. Some of these you may have heard or seen simply because you've been using a calculator. But our goal today is to find the tangent of an acute angle, and it's important to realize that we're working with acute angles. Two words, trigonometric ratio. Is the ratio of two sides of a right triangle. So notice I put this in bold because we are only working with right triangles. And then tangent, the one we're specifically looking at today, is the ratio of the lengths of the side of the leg opposite and the leg adjacent to an acute angle. So when we talk about ratio, that means it's a fraction. We're comparing the opposite over the adjacent. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. All right, so if we take a look at what the tangent ratio is, for any acute angle A of a right triangle, so we're going to specifically focus on angle A here. It's the leg opposite angle A over the leg adjacent. So it's opposite over adjacent. We're going to talk about some ways of helping us remember these, some memory devices. So if we look at the leg that's opposite angle A, that means we're going to cross that leg A over the side adjacent. Adjacent, it means we're touching. Neighbors that are adjacent to each other are touching, and so that is side B. So the tangent of angle A is written as tan A. That's how we know we're finding the tangent of angle A. So our first example is we want to find the tangent of two angles in there. We want to write them as fractions in simplified form and as decimals. So we're going to look at angle S. So T of S means to look at angle S, and we're going to look at the side opposites. We're going to go across from that, and that's been labeled with 4 square root of 3, and then we need to go adjacent to it, so the side that's adjacent to it. Notice we talked about legs. We're not even looking at 8 because 8 is the hypotenuse of the right triangle. So we're only focused on these two sides when we're talking about tangent. So 4 square roots of 3 over 4. This is just square root of 3. And we're going to simplify that. That's something you'll do on your calculator. And so I'm going to bring the calculator up here today. Square root, you guys know, is above the x squared. So we're going to do second square root of 3. And so that's going to be approximately 1.731. And as soon as I start writing, I lose my calculator there, but you guys will see what we have there. We're going to round to 4 decimal places. If we take a look at the leg opposite angle R now, I'm going to focus on angle R. And if I go opposite that, that's 4 over the adjacent side for R is this 4 square roots of 3. There's things about radicals that we didn't necessarily study last year, but for purposes this year, we're going to write it as 1 over square root of 3. And so we want to turn that into a decimal. So we're going to take 1 divided by second square root of 3. And that's going to be 0.577, and the 3 will round up to a 4. So 0.5774 there. All right? So that's what we're looking at when we talk about finding the tangent of an angle, is taking those leg measurements and writing them as a ratio. So what is the relationship between the tangent of S and the tangent of R? So when we look at those tangents, we have 4 square roots of 3 over 4. So this was 4 square roots of 3 over 4. And tangent of R was 4 over 4 square roots of 3. So what is the relationship there? The relationship is they are reciprocals. And that's going to be true about any right triangle. The two acute angles, their tangents are going to be reciprocals of each other. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to be able to use our calculator to calculate tangent. So we want to use approximate tangent of 74 degrees to 4 decimal places. So if you remember in class, I told you guys, make sure your calculator is on degrees. So if I go to mode, mine's set to degrees. So it's this red button here. You guys can see that it's highlighted red. And then it's on degrees. So I can quit out of there. And I want to find tangent. Tangent's in this 4th row. So I'm going to hit tangent. And then I'm going to type in 74. I don't need to worry about putting the degree symbol there, because my calculator knows I'm calculating in degrees, because that's what I did with the mode setting. So if I hit enter, it's 3.48, and we have that long decimal value there. So 3.487414444. I think 4 fours there. We're going to round it to 4 decimal places, so we're going to keep the 4 digits after the decimal. So 3.4874. 3.4874. Got them all there. Too many 4s for me to look at. So we can calculate tangent pretty easy in our calculator if we already know the angle degree. The difference was in example 1, I didn't know what the size was of angle S or angle R. So I couldn't use my calculator. All right, so use your checkpoints for finding the tangent of S and the tangent of R. So we're going to find the tangent of S, and then I want you guys to find the tangent of R, write it as a fraction in simplest form, and then round to 4 decimal places. So let's take a look at this first one. Tangent of S, I'm going to go opposite is 6, adjacent is 8, which simplifies down to 3/4. And if we think of that, we can go to our calculator and divide it, or I can just simplify that. That's exactly 0.75. Now if we look at angle R, I need to do opposite, 8, over adjacent, 6. And so that is 4/3. Now if we divide that out on our calculator, 4 divided by 3, we get 1.333. We're taking 4 decimal places, so that's 1.3333. So you guys are going to do now, and this is on your own. We will check in class. And the same for 3, 4, and 5. You guys are going to use your calculators for those. All right, so let's take a look. Now we're going to go back and we're going to find a leg length. We're going to find the length of that leg. So how can we do that? Well, now we know an angle measurement. We have angle 22 degrees. And so because 3 is opposite and x is adjacent, we know this is tangent. This is the only ratio you know, so everything is going to fit into that for tonight. So we're going to write that ratio of 3 over x. Sorry, they want to start you guys off with writing opposite over adjacent. A very good habit to have. And then we substitute in our values. Tangent of 22 is 3 over x. What we're going to have to do here, guys, is now multiply each side by x. We're going to multiply by whatever our denominator is. So we're going to multiply by x. So when you multiply by x here and here, these x's cancel. You get x times tangent of 22 degrees is equal to 3. Well, now if we look at this, I want to get x by itself. So I'm going to divide each side by the tangent of 22 degrees. So I'm going to divide by tangent of 22 degrees, divide by tangent of 22 degrees. So that's going to leave me with x is equal to 3 divided by tangent of 22 degrees. So now what we're going to have to do is use the approximate value. Actually, we can skip this step here, guys. We don't have to go to an approximate value. We're just going to use our calculator. So we're going to type into the calculator. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to take 3 divided by tangent of 22 degrees. So I'm going to take 3 divided by tangent of 22. Hit enter. We get 7.75. They tell us to round to the nearest tenth. So based on what we see in my calculator, that's simply going to be 7.4. All right, let's take a look at what the other ones. We need to find another leg length, so we need to practice this a couple of times. So use two different tangent ratios to find the value of x to the nearest tenth. So what does that mean? Well, we only have one angle measurement here, 35 degrees. But if I do 90 minus 35 degrees, I can get 55 degrees for my other angle. And so that's what it means to write two different ratios, and you're going to see that in your homework tonight. So we're going to write the tangent of 35 degrees. I'm going to do this one first. So this is opposite over adjacent. So the tangent of 35 degrees is 4 over x, opposite over adjacent. I'm going to multiply each side by x. So I get x times the tangent of 35 is equal to 4. I'm going to divide by tangent of 35. On each side. Remember, we're going to go right to our calculator and type in. We don't need to do any approximating. We're just going to type in 4 divided by tangent of 35 degrees. Hit enter. And we're rounding to the nearest tenth, so we get 5.7. Now here's the thing. We just said x is 5.7. We better get 5.7 here. So let's take a look at what it looks like with this second method. We're working with this 35 degrees, or I'm sorry, 55 degrees. And so the opposite side that we need to find is x. The adjacent side, which is what we need to put x over, is 4. So when we take a look at that, I can simply multiply by 4 here. I don't need to do any approximating. I can type this right into my calculator. Notice, guys, we kind of saved a step. Here I've got a multiply and a divide that I'm doing. All right? Here I've got the multiplication. Here I've got the division that I'm doing. When I went and found 55 degrees, I just have one step. I just have multiplying that I'm doing. So sometimes that little extra step at the beginning makes it worth it, because we're going to save some time. We're going to do 4 times the tangent of 22. I'm sorry, not 22. 4 times the tangent, and we're dealing with 55 degrees this time. We hit enter, we get 5.7. In fact, if I brought up what we had before, when we took 4 divided by the tangent of 35, we're getting the exact same value. It's not just that they round to both to 5.7, they are the exact same value. So it doesn't matter which angle you use, the leg of your triangle is still going to have the same value. All right, so now we get to actually see what we use these trig ratios for. We're going to use these to find objects that we can't measure. I can't measure a pine tree. I don't have enough ladders. I don't have a long enough ruler or yardstick or tape measure to measure those. But I stand 45 feet from the base of a tree, and we're assuming that this is a strong tree, so it stands straight, perpendicular to the ground, so it makes a 90-degree angle. And I look up to the tip top of that tree at a 59-degree angle. I'm going to determine how tall is that tree. What is this leg here? I have the leg of 45 degrees. I'm trying to find the leg that's the height. So I know the tangent of 59 degrees is opposite over adjacent. So I'm taking the opposite leg over the adjacent leg. All right, so then we're going to substitute what I know. The opposite is this h that I'm trying to find, and the adjacent is 45. So now what I can do to solve this is I'm just multiplying each side by 45. So I'm going to multiply by 45. multiply by 45. This will leave me with h. We go and take a look. We're going to type in 45 times the tangent of 59 degrees. And we get 74.89. We're rounding to the nearest foot is what it says. It says the nearest foot. So this is about 75. So 75 feet tall. All right. So here is what you guys are going to do. We're going to write the two equations we can use to find the value of x. And then number 9. I'm going to do number 6 with you. Okay, so let's take a look. I've got to find my other angle, so I need to do 90 minus 44 degrees, and that's going to leave me with, we do 90 minus 44, that should leave me with 46 degrees there. So this angle here is 46 degrees. So my two equations are going to be for the tangent of 44 degrees, and then I'm going to have one for the tangent of 46 degrees. So the tangent of 44 degrees, the opposite is 8 over the adjacent of x. That equals the tangent of 44 degrees. So for the 44 degree angle, I'm going to multiply by x. I get 8 is equal to the tangent of 44 times x. I'm going to move this up a little bit. And so now when we look at this, I have to divide by tangent of 44. We're doing a lot of algebra manipulations, but notice I haven't really done any math. I'm undoing division with multiplication. I'm undoing multiplication with division. And so we should have x is equal to 8 divided by tangent of 44. So let's take a look at that. We're going to do 8 divided by tangent of 44. And rounding it to the nearest tenth is 8.3. So we get x is equal to now remember, I should get the same thing over here when I'm looking at the 46 degree angle. So I'm going to have tangent of 46 is equal to opposite x over adjacent 8. To solve that, I'm going to multiply both sides by 8, and we get x is equal to 8 times the tangent of 46. I don't have to do anything more with this problem algebraically. Now I get to manipulate it on my calculator. I have to do 8 times tangent of 46 degrees. Cross my fingers, we should get the same answer, and there it is. X is equal to 8.3. I want you guys to do number 8 on your own. On your town. How about on your own? We're not going to town. We're just doing on your own. And I should see method 1 and then method number 2. All right? And then you're going to find the value of x. You only need to do that one time. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy tangent, and we will see you tomorrow.